Welcome back to Games Revealed. I'm James and also the Brink, and we are one community. And today we're going to be talking about the Legion Go, the Legion Go S, the Legion Go 2, and just all the different SKUs that they're coming out with, and kind of why. And wait until the end, like watch the whole thing to get a recommendation on whether you should get this or which version you should get, or should you abstain. But we are going to be diving in to why Lenovo's doing this, kind of what's new, because there's a couple of new things if you haven't been keeping up the past week or two about these new SKUs, these new versions. And so we're going to be going through that today. Before we get into it, if you've been watching me for a while, or maybe this is your first time and you're liking what you see, make sure to like, subscribe, and bash that bell with your crowbar. Now, let's get into this a little bit. So it is now confirmed that Lenovo has 3 gaming systems in the Legion Go series that they are coming out with. They will be announcing them officially, because these are leaks. They will be announcing them officially 2025 CES. So in a couple of weeks. I believe it is January 7th through the 10th or something like that. And so one of those days we should be getting hands-on videos from people, and we should also be getting an announcement there. And a little bit interesting tidbit here is that Valve is coming with them, supposedly, or maybe a rep or two is going to be there. But we do know from, I don't know if it's leaks or just people saying that they're going to be there, some of the Valve people, but we do know that Valve is going to be there. So that means that one of these, and it's been leaked, but one of these flavors of these devices from the Legion Go series is going to be extra spicy. And now we can do another video on why Valve's going to be at CES, because it's a hardware based event, and there's so much speculation going on there. But we're going to stick to Lenovo today because it's still pretty spicy. The company has experienced massive leaks recently, and today's disclosure is perhaps the most significant one of the systems, meaning we pretty much got huge confirmation, and something like if you're a Steam Deck fan and you've been waiting for SteamOS to release for other devices, like official release, so you can put it on other devices, that is, so you don't have to be beholden to Valve for a good handheld Steam experience. Let's go into the specs. These are probably the most exciting things for me. Like, the new leaks have brought some really cool things that I'm really excited about. I got to tell you, it almost seems like the perfect device. Now, I don't know if price to performance, price to like what I'm going to be getting is going to line up just right. But we're starting out strong with an 8-inch 1920 by 1200 IPS 120 hertz panel with 500 nits brightness, that is. The leaked specifications confirm that the system will feature an 8-inch Lenovo PureSight screen with 16 by 10 aspect ratio and the 120 hertz refresh rate. It is said to offer an ultra-vibrant, immersive experience through 100% sRGB color accuracy and 500 nits of brightness. I'll have to say, the Legion Go had a pretty good screen on it, right? I'm a fan of the Steam Deck's OLED. And don't get me wrong, I think that the new standard needs to be OLED in the near future. I have another thing that's more concerning than the OLED screen being a standard on these devices, and we'll get to that in a second. But this screen is my must-have. Like 8 inches, perfect. Said everyone, right? Whatever you're buying in your life, whatever you're shopping for, whatever you're comparing, 8 inches seems to be the best of both worlds. And so for me, it's all about 9 inches, 10 inches, great and all, but for portability and for what these devices can kind of like get, 8 inches seems perfect if you can get bezel-less screens. So if we can start to get more and more bezel-less, meaning there's not much of a space between the edge of the device and the screen, like the Steam Deck, it increased its screen size actually in the OLED just a little bit. But there's room to improve, even with the Steam Deck. They could get a couple of more inches if they just rearrange the panel, if the panel's different. Like there's reasons. And there's also reasons not to have bezel-less. Like, it's more prone to cracking the screen or breaking the screen. So there's trade-offs. But with OLED, it tends to be, the tech with OLED tends to be, from my understanding, a little less prone to breaking. But you guys could correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But I'm willing to trade in an OLED for an 8-inch screen. And with that resolution, I think that should be also the new de facto resolution for portable devices, personally. I don't think we need to get higher than that. I think that is the perfect resolution. And if you don't want to run at that resolution, you want to run something a little lower, that's fine. But we have upscaling. We have other things that kind of help bump it up. I don't know why people have to like be content with the 800p of the Steam Deck. Let's do 1200. Like some of us like it a little bit more text wise. It's a little bit better with an 8-inch, a little bit better fidelity on the text, that is. But once again, we had to start somewhere. I just do think that we're kind of honing in on these, the de facto of what we're going to see probably for the next 5 to 6 years of what these devices will have. I think you'll get outliers that will go above this resolution, but honestly, I think we're starting to see the de facto here. So the RAM is going to be 16 to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X. And there's two options, obviously, the 16 to 32 gigabyte. And another thing is, I think 32 gigabyte, it needs to be the new de facto here, the new standard, because especially if your APU shares VRAM. So if you have VRAM with these, if you need more VRAM for some games, then you really should be having 32 gigabytes. 24 is probably the minimum, and I'd be content if we did 24, but there's reasons to just stick with the 16 gigabyte jump from 16 to 32. So just doubling it makes sense. RAM's really not that expensive comparatively, like meaning I'd rather spend an extra $50 for a device that has 16 gigabytes of RAM more. Now, I don't know how much it's going to cost to get the 32 gigabyte version, but that would be, no matter what, that's the one I would be buying, even if it's $100 to $200 more. I don't want it to be, but that's probably what it's going to be. Especially since there's going to be a 512 gigabyte storage option and a 1 terabyte storage option. And they're going to be, of course, NVMe M.2 drives, most likely upgradable, just like all the past devices, and Lenovo Go is upgradable. They're probably going to pair the 16 and 512 gigabyte versions with, together, and the 32 gigabyte and the 1 terabyte. That tends to be the case with these types of devices. They usually pair upgrades together like this. I doubt they're going to have 4 different SKUs for this Legion Go S. And we're talking about, most of these we're talking about is the Legion Go S, but let's just say that the specs that have been leaked, plan on a lot of these specs being similar to the Legion Go 2. And I have my assumptions, and I'm like 90% sure my assumptions are going to be correct on this. I think the Legion Go 2 is going to have an 8.8-inch screen. I think it's going to have, if they want to keep with it, like the Go 2 to be the flagship device, it's probably going to be either $800 or $799. We'll get into the prices in a second, but it will probably be $799 with a 16 gigabyte version, or if they go flagship route, it will probably be $1,000 with 32 gigabytes starting out. The operating system portion is probably one of the most interesting parts of the leak, and it is leaked that there's going to be 2 versions of the Legion Go S, the Legion Go S Steam OS version and the Legion Go S 8ARP1. Now, the 8ARP1 is going to be white, while the Steam OS version is going to be gray. And I really, like, we don't have full specs on all these things, like what RAM options are going to be and everything, but I expect that it's going to be similar across the board. The architecture-wise, they're going to share the same architecture between the SteamOS version and the Windows 11 version. It is going to be an older architecture, which is interesting. Zen 3 Plus and RDNA 2 with 4 core counts and 8 threads. And the GPU portion of the APU is going to have 12 compute units, which is similar to the Legion Go, the OG Legion Go. The Go S is going to also have an 8. We don't know, but I'm assuming probably an 880M card, where the original Go has a 780M. And so I have a feeling that this APU, even though it's going to have less cores than the original Go, the CPU wise, but everything is probably going to balance pretty well to be maybe a little faster, especially GPU wise, than the original Go. But we're going to see semi-similar specs. but other things are going to really improve this device over, I think, the original. It is interesting that they went with an RDNA 2 as opposed to the original Go has an RDNA 3. Same with the original Go has a Zen 4, where the Legion Go S has a Zen 3 Plus architecture. These are the CPU and GPU architectures. And what I think they're kind of playing with here is the performance to battery is probably going to be a little bit better tweaked. Then on top of that, the architecture is going to probably be a little closer to the original Steam Deck. So they're probably playing off of this for the Steam OS version to be as close to the Steam Deck as possible, probably for compatibility issues or reasons starting out. So that's kind of that. The Go 2, though, is going to have a Zen 5 and RDNA 3.5 with 8 cores and 16 threads, of course. And then it's going to have 12 compute units and an 890M GPU in the APU. This, it's not a 12 CU. It is 16 compute units. So it's going to be arguably probably altogether because compute units alone don't make up the full performance, but with the architecture changes and everything, I bet you the Go 2 is going to probably be about 50% faster than the OG Go. Is probably where it's going to be around that. And it's going to be the APU is going to be a custom Z2 Go APU for the Go S. It's going to have like its own Z2 Go or whatever. Kind of makes me think of the original Z1, where you had the Z1 and then the Z1 Extreme, and the Z1 just wasn't worth it at all. The Z1 Extreme was what you wanted to get every time. But I think they're going a different route, AMD is, and these companies. Meaning the Go seems like, honestly, a pretty decent APU that I think will go a long ways for probably people that want the balance of price, performance, and battery life. Is probably where they're going with that. No pun intended, but whatever. So the Z2 Extreme is going to be in the Go 2, though. And these are two very different devices, but it's interesting that they did 3 SKUs, or at least that's what we know of so far. Now, battery life is very interesting, too. It's going to have a 55.5 watt battery compared to 49 watt, which was in the original Go, which I find fascinating that these smaller devices, the ones with the 8-inch screen as opposed to the 8.8-inch screen of the original Go, is going to have more battery life, and the APU is probably going to be tuned to be better with battery life. So all around, I could imagine it getting 25% better battery life than the Legion Go, which, take that with a grain of salt, of course, it's all guesstimations here, is good. But the Legion Go, I would not say had an amazing battery life. But it is nice to see that 55 is, they're upping it. It is nice to see that. As far as speakers go, the Go S will have front-facing speakers. And then it looks like the Go 2 will probably have downward-facing speakers, just like the Legion Go, the OG one, had. I will have to say, one of my biggest gripes with these types of devices are really... is the sound. Like, I've had downward facing speakers on like the Legion Go and the Neo devices, and I really don't like it. The Legion Go pulled it off okay, but it doesn't sound great compared to the ROG Ally and some of these other devices. Now, the Go S with its front facing is definitely, let's be honest, this Legion Go S looks like an ROG Ally. It looks like a lot of these other devices, with a big exception of it has the 16:10 ratio screen, which is going to be much better compatible with the Steam OS, and because the Steam Deck has a 16:10 also. It's an interesting way to go, and I actually like it. I'm really curious to see what other manufacturers take away from this, like what we're going to see from Asus, if they're going to continue with their brand in a similar fashion, or if they're going to follow like the Lenovo Legion Go's direction, because there's a lot of little tweaks here that are going to make things definitely different and more options available to the consumer, which is always a good thing. That's what we want. The Go 2 will have detachable controllers, while the Go S will not. That's another really interesting choice here. And I was a little worried that the Go 2 would not have detachable, and that's kind of like one of the main selling points of the Go was the detachable controllers, right? But the Go 2 looks like it will have detachable, and it looks like it will be better. And I will have to say the Go 2 looks drastically better than the original Go. I wanted to go in liking the original Go, and just if you can go watch my review on it, there's just so many things I had issues with. I really, really like the direction they're going with the new Legion Go 2. And I like the direction they're going with the Go S also. I think these are decent devices, and they're actually got me excited for 2025. Now, that being said, these will be coming out in Q1 of 2025. I have a feeling that they will hit that. I don't think it's going to be pushed, especially since this is Lenovo. They know what they're doing. It's not going to be like some of these other device makers where they sometimes have to push things off. I think they know what they're doing, and I think Lenovo is going to be pushing a release in Q1. Probably towards the end, though, probably March, but who knows? They could be coming out right around CES. They could show it off in CES and release it in January. But that's for hardware to come out in January, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to even potentially happen in February. It's probably going to happen at the end of February or sometime in March. That tends to be the sweet spot for these types of devices if they're released in Q1. Steam Deck was released in Q1, so yeah. Now, the reason for the 3 SKUs is probably testing the waters. This is one of the things my community talked to me about when I was streaming is that, and they brought this up, and I can't remember who it is, whoever it was, you can comment in below if you're watching this. I'm sorry if I don't remember which person commented, but I think they brought up a good point. I think Lenovo is testing the waters with these 3 different SKUs. I think making a separate SteamOS version of the Go S is testing the waters to see how well it's going to do. I think it's an interesting way to go about it. And Lenovo is such a big company that they can do this. They can waste a little bit of money because honestly, I think doing 3 SKUs and manufacturing 3 different devices, it runs the risk of one of these devices not being bought up, meaning they'll have a surplus. That's kind of what happened with the ROG Ally, is that there was a huge surplus of the Ally, the non-extreme version of it. And so, and he usually discounted and everything. And it just wasn't worth, honestly, it just wasn't worth period getting it because it was on par with the SteamOS, but with a worse experience, even though their software is good. I do think that the Legion Go S SteamOS version will win some Steam Deck gamers, but I think a lot of owners of the deck love the trackpads. And so we'll see if we'll see who it wins over. I'm curious what you guys think, if this is going to win you over. It's winning me over because I'm not a big trackpad person. I like them. Don't get me wrong. I like the option that they're there. And when the Steam Deck 2 comes out, I will buy it. But because I focus on portable games a lot and I focus on game hardware and games on this channel, I tend to buy multiple devices. And a lot of you guys that watch like to also buy or at least keep track of multiple devices and what you want to get. I definitely think if you want a little bit more oomph and better like all-around specs over the Steam Deck, I think this is going to be the new de facto Steam Deck, as opposed to if you don't want the trackpads or some other experiences. The Legion Go S is going to be Glacier White. We already talked about this, but it's going to be a Glacier White, and it's going to be the Windows version, like for the Windows-based version, and then gray is going to be for the SteamOS version. This may be so them releasing these different specs is probably a response to the MSI Claw 87AI Plus, which is the Intel branded APU or the Intel version, of the handheld devices, which the MSI Claw just didn't do well last year or this year. That is. Yeah, I have a feeling because it's becoming more and more standard, 32 gigabytes, that they're starting to introduce it here. I think they'd be smart and they'd make themselves super competitive if they just erased 16 gigabytes and tried to offer 32 gigabytes at a much cheaper version or price, that is. I don't care about the storage. I think the storage is nice, but I can upgrade the storage. The storage portion, I don't care. The RAM, I care about because you cannot upgrade that, at least not easily, let's say. I bet they are testing the SteamOS waters with the Go S instead of the Go 2 for compatibility reasons. But who knows? They could dual boot Go 2, but them doing the architecture of the Zen 3 RDNA 2 for the Go S just tells me that they're trying to hit a price performance and battery usage is really what I think they're trying to do with this, but also test the waters because that architecture is much closer to what the Steam Deck's Van Gogh is. And so I could see them also maybe wanting to do a more compatibility, even though I have a feeling, because I use Bazite and some other, like the AMD drivers work fine with these newer architectures, but I'm wondering if they really want to make sure that the experience is much better than and be safe. But they could also just be, like I said, price performance. And the Legion Go is going to be much more expensive, and maybe they'll put Steam Deck or the Steam OS on it. Maybe they'll put SteamOS on it. As far as price goes, the leaks are saying it's going to be $599 around that. I mean, it says euros, but I looked it up. Euros are getting pretty close to the dollars. And so $599 seems like what the Go S will be, and probably what the base one is, like 16 gigabytes, which I don't like that. I'd much rather see them do like $699 with a 32 gigabyte version, but I have a feeling that the 32 gigabytes is going to be $899 or something like that. It's going to be something, or $799 that is. And so it's going to be something ridiculously more expensive, and it would just push me towards getting just the Legion Go 2 anyways. And if SteamOS is coming out officially, I'll just put SteamOS on my Go 2 as is. So the Go 2 will probably be around $799 or $899, depending on if they decide to go with that, like we talked about earlier, what their de facto flagship. So the Go 2, you can probably think of it as a flagship device, while the Go S is more for people that really want to get into a little bit more portable gaming with the Go series. I bet you that the Legion Go 2 is going to be decked out. Like, we already know that APU wise, GPU wise, it's decked out. It's all the top new tech from AMD. But it will most likely ship with 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5. And I'm not sure if there'll be a different versions like 512 and 1 terabyte. But if they're smart, they'll do one SKU, meaning one device that has 1 terabyte, 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5, and be spec'd at, let's say, $899. $899 is really big ask for some people, but I do think that the Legion Go 2 offers such a rich experience compared to other devices and like configurations, and like it just has so much more that I think people are willing to pay for that. And honestly, I probably would be willing to pay for that. It's a little bit of a ask, but it's a device that would last me for a long time. And if they fixed everything that I didn't like about the Legion Go, including the drivers and the software, then this is going to be my like must have for 2025. This might be the best device to come out in 2025. That's it, because so far they've listened to me, apparently, that I got through to them. No, I doubt, who knows? They could have heard my complaints, but the design of the Legion Go 2 is amazing in comparison, like, to what the Legion Go 1 was like. It's just too edgy. Like, it had too many edges. It wasn't comfortable for me. The Legion Go 2 just looks about right for what kind of device I want. I want to know what it feels like, though, but with the detachable controllers, with all the different configurations you can do, I do like that. But let's get into recommendations and kind of what you should be looking into if you're interested in these devices. Portable. If you want something that's more portable, the Legion Go S is pretty much what it is. The Legion Go S is going to be the more portable device, partially because it's got a smaller screen, smaller size and dimensions, that is. So that's definitely probably the one you're going to want to go for. And we don't know what the battery is going to be for the Legion Go 2, but I just have a feeling that the Legion Go 2 is going to be like what the Go was. It's going to be a powerhouse. It's going to drain battery a lot more. You're going to want to be, you're just not going to get more playtime out of the battery. That's probably what the Go S is. The Go S just feels like it's being architected for SteamOS and for portability. As far as if you want SteamOS, obviously the Legion Go S SteamOS version. But I have a feeling, because if SteamOS is coming out on a different device, that it's being officially released, and you should be able to put SteamOS on your Go 2. So I would definitely say, if you're fine with creating a boot drive and then putting it into the Go 2 and dual booting it, or just overwriting Windows and just having your way with the device, I think you're going to be fine with the Go 2 with SteamOS. Customizability, obviously the Go 2 is just going to be drastically better of a device for customizability and for like what you're going to be able to do with it. It's going to most likely be compatible with external GPUs. It's going to be pretty much everything I want, except for one thing that I don't know if it's going to have, and that's, once again, is it going to be downward facing speakers or front facing? And if it's if it's downward facing and everything else lines up with what I want, I might just use headphones with this thing. And performance-wise, obviously the Go 2 is going to just destroy the Go S, which is another interesting thing. Like when I buy devices like this, if it's a few $100s off, I will always go for the more performant one because it will last longer, a little bit less e-waste. That's me though. I want to be able to play whatever I can on the device, so I'm going to go with the higher spec device. For some of you guys though, performance isn't as big a deal. If you like Hades or some of these other devices, you might just want to stick with the Go S. Like the Go S seems pretty solid. Now, is it going to be able to win people over that have, let's say, the ROG Ally and some of these other devices? Probably not, because it's not going to be that much different. It might honestly be similar. Who knows? Who knows what it's going to be like? That Ryzen Z2 Go processor could be a little bit better than the Z1 Extreme, so we'll see. But is it going to be enough of a bump in performance to justify the price? I doubt it. Recommendations. Really, it comes down to portability, price, Go S. If you want the most powerful thing and future-proof it and have a bunch of different options, the Go 2, I think, is those are like kind of how you should go about it. What is more important to you? I want to ask you guys in the comments. Let me know. I always love to know what you guys think. That's one of my favorite things working with this channel and with you guys and with the community, is that I get to read about what you think, and I'll try to respond to you guys as much as I can. What is more important to you out of all the recommendations? Portability, SteamOS, customizability, performance. What out of those four things is most important to you, and how would you mix and match them, and which device do you want? What are you getting? And let's be hypothetical. Even if you don't plan on getting one of these because you already have a bunch of other devices, which one would you want to get? Let me know in the comments. With that, I'm probably going to go with the Go 2. There's a good chance that's going to be the one I'm going to end up getting next year. It really does come down to the Go S SteamOS version. But once again, I'm going to try to just put SteamOS on the flagship one because I already have a Steam Deck. And if I'm able to play some of the games I can't play on the Steam Deck on this Go S SteamOS version, then I'm going to go with, maybe I'll go with that. It just depends. It depends. We'll have to see performance levels. At the end of the day, my main device these days is just whatever's the easiest one to use, which is typically SteamOS. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sticking around until this point. If you have not done so, make sure to like, subscribe, bash that bell with your crowbar. And make sure to comment below. Also, check out my description below for all the goodies, all the links, the sources and stuff to this information, and also to other things to upgrade your Steam Deck and other devices. And as always, stay classy, but that's a little cringe. But yeah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you're watching this around the Christmas time. And if not, I'll see you soon. Peace out. Later.